Hi there, I'm Tom Milligan, founder of futuremedics.co.uk. I've made you guys a great short video if you're wanting to get into medical school and looking towards having an interview soon. I've pulled together the best information about the qualities of doctors. I hope you enjoy the vid, and if you do, come and check us out at futuremedics.co.uk. Hi there, I'm back with Dr. Jill Kelly to think about qualities of doctors. Really important stuff to know about to try and identify whether or not you've already got some of these qualities, whether these qualities that you can develop by other things that you can do, and whether or not there's ways that we can reflect that both at interview and on our UCAS statements. So hi Jill, great to see you back. Are you happy just to tell me, what do you think are some of the characteristics that define doctors in terms of their personal qualities? What is it we're showing?
Well, I think one of the most important things is that you've got to show that you actually like working with people. It sounds very obvious, but people just actually forget to mention that. You've got to be able to communicate, and clearly you've got to be able to talk off the cuff. So you want to have somebody who can actually describe themselves or talk easily with others. It's always useful to be able to work within a team, so good team working skills. And I think a lot of people will already have been able to show those kind of qualities if, for example, if they're playing a sport or working within a team at school, even just working within the library at school. All these things show that they're good team members. But whilst, yes, you need to be able to work in a team, you also need to actually be able to assume leadership. Yeah. And so being able to show that you've got leadership qualities as well as team working is very important. It's also very useful to be able to say you can take you've a sense of responsibility, both within your community, within your school, and within your school. There's lots of different ways that you can actually be taking that kind of responsibility. You also need to show some kind of dedication, and I think that's really why it's important to show that you've spent some time volunteering or spent some time with your extracurricular activities. All these show that ability to dedicate your time to something and concentrate on that. And
it's doing it consistent, isn't it? We're showing, you know, that it's not only that we're going every week, but it's every week for a while.
Yes, it's a long period that we're talking about. We're not just talking something short term. Let's face it, medicine is very much lifelong. It's not something that ever leaves us. It's something that really is ongoing, and we've got to be able to show that at interview and on the UCAS statement that actually you've got those qualities, that you can actually dedicate your whole life to a specific thing.
Fantastic. And does it show us a weakness if we talk on the statement about something that we've learnt on those experiences that's changed or improved those skills?
Absolutely not, no. And I think actually it's good for showing that you've got some insight into yourself. And I think personal insight is actually something very worthwhile and is often a very good discriminator of a good candidate versus a less good candidate. We want to know that people are fallible. That's what makes us human. So we've got those fallibilities, but we can actually learn from not so much mistakes, but we can take an experience and develop as a result of that experience.
So we're not necessarily focusing on our negatives, but we're going to perhaps have an experience that helps teach us more about something, so that we can say that we're better at understanding people because of something that we've seen or something in that order.
And being able to understand people as well and have a little bit of insight into other people's lives. And I certainly like reading about where somebody has actually really learned something maybe about themselves from a really difficult situation that they've been forced to face up to maybe in either their work experience or their volunteering. I think that's very useful to see that someone actually shows a degree of empathy and insight into someone else's life.
Fine. And so by empathy, what do we mean by that exactly?
Just being able to, I think, identify with something difficult that someone else is going through. And let's face it, medicine really does expose the worst times in some people's lives. It really is making people very vulnerable, and some awful things do happen, some real tragedies, and be able to understand those tragedies and to see them maybe from someone else's point of view, I think is very, very important.
Okay, and again, that's something we can highlight if we've seen those sorts of experiences.
Absolutely, so personal experience, and that's why it's so important. That's why universities want work experience, why they want volunteering, because then you're actually exposed to those kinds of situations, albeit in a protected way, but you're actually exposed to those situations and you grow as a person as a result.
Yeah. As a final thought, just to do with dealing with stress and things, is that something that comes up that
It's so important that people are just not robots. We all need something to do that is completely separate from the medical world. Otherwise, you end up being completely burnt out. And there are massive tomes of evidence of doctors who simply work so much and too hard that they either become ill physically or burnout and want to leave the profession. And I think it is very important to have something else totally different, even if it is baking versus spending every waking moment playing basketball. All of these things just show a much more well-rounded individual.
And again, I've seen the same thing at interview being asked, how would you cope with stresses? What do you find stressful?
Yeah.
How do you sort of manage them? I think it's because just reflecting the idea that we don't want to see people being burnt out, that they can learn to step back and relax and allow themselves to do that. It is a hard course, but equally there should be a lot of fun there as well.
Completely,
So,
yeah.
Fantastic. Well, Jill, thank you so much for those insights. I think
problem.
everyone will have found that absolutely fantastic.